What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
It's too early.
What's up? What's up?
It's too early.
What's up? What's up? Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I hope you guys are doing just fine. We are super stoked. We're coming to you live
from Virginia Beach.
Virginia. It's not Virginia. You can tell a person is from the D.C., Maryland, Northern Virginia area because they say Virginia. It's not Virginia. It's with a V.
Virginia.
Good morning, everybody. This is Glenn P. Brooks Jr. I'm super excited to be with you guys this morning. I am an author. I'm a speaker. I'm a coach. And this lady who can't get her Virginias right.
This is the lovely.
The
talented. The wonderful.
The red lipstick.
Cherie Brooks Jr., author, speaker, relationship, and life balance coach. Great to be with you guys this morning.
On Breakfast with the Brookses. What's up, guys? Listen, we're broadcasting live. So we're tasked with the beautiful, wonderful duty of dog sitting for her brother, my brother-in-law. They went up to hang out, him and his wife, and they didn't want to put the dog in a kennel. I'm not a dog guy. Confession. I'm not a dog guy. Now, if you go to my IG stories, I'm posting just the antics of this little Dotson. Mr. Sinclair is his name. And he is funny. He is too funny. He's an old man, right?
Yes.
But he's a tiny dog. And you would think, hey, he should be super playful, but he has spurts of playfulness. And I've never been a dog person, but it amazes me when you get around.
Mr. Sinclair's been around almost as long as we've been married.
He has. And so it's not like I don't know him, but Cherie has this whole, he's a child kind of a thing going on. And you should see, guys, listen, when we come over here, whenever we come to visit, whenever we come to hang out, this dude follows her around like she was his girlfriend. And I'm like almost feeling a little jealous over here. I'm like, bruh, can you back up off my wife? You get what I'm saying?
Good morning, Karen.
So if you're just tuning in, perhaps you are a replay viewer. Here's what I want you guys to do as we're waiting for people to jump in the room. Do me a favor, huge favor. Share out this to as many couples as you can possibly tag. And the reason is today we're going to talk about boundaries, particularly as it relates to difficult people. Difficult people. How many of y'all put a 1 in the chat if you know at least one person who's just difficult? Like they're just difficult. What does that mean? What is that? Don't point that finger over here.
I'm not pointing at you.
Okay.
I'm just counting difficult people.
Okay. You're counting them. Okay. No. So the truth is that particularly Cherie, in couples, relationships, and marriages, it is really, really tough to do that.
Oh gosh.
Karen laid ones completely across the board. I get it. While we're waiting on a couple of people to jump in, guys, we do want to tell you about our MAPS community, Marriages and Parenting Successfully. It's a relationship academy. Hey, Sidna, good to see you.
Good morning.
For those of you all who would like to know more about how do you grow your relationships, particularly your marriage, particularly your parenting skills on purpose, we have a community. It's an online community. We meet every week. We actually have 4 separate meeting opportunities, 4 separate rooms. We call them. They're online group coaching environments. One is for couples, Tuesday nights, 7 every week. Then we have
our parenting session that meets at 8:30 every Tuesday.
Where
we meet with our MAPS parenting, where we deal with parenting issues. And then every first and third Thursday of the month, we have MAPS Ladies, where I get with the ladies one-on-one, and we get to share.
Yeah, and
without the men
in the room, and it's
deal with real issues.
Yeah,
it's spiritually.
It's more of a spiritual development kind of an environment, and then
you get with the men on
Sundays. Yeah, we do that at 7 p.m. and it's more of a spiritual development, guys. I honestly believe that if you don't deal, or if you don't, if you're not aware of the spiritual component of your life, you're missing it.
Right.
And there's so many areas that are affecting people's lives, and truthfully be told, their spirit ain't in order, and something's going on with them inside, like in the soul area of their lives. So we deal with that kind of stuff, teach men how to lead, how to learn, and how to love on purpose. And so we're excited about that. So if you want to know more about that, come grow with us, www www.thecrcoach.com. I'm going to turn this just a little bit. Got me looking like I'm halfway out the screen. There we go. www.thecrcoach.com. And also, we are starting to show our YouTube channel some love. And so here Cherie goes, guys, with the finger thing. Subscribe, please, if you can, subscribe to our YouTube channel, right? Because this is where you will get a chance to catch all the replays, not only of Breakfast with the Brookses. I do something that I've been starting here lately called Man Talk Monday. And I generally just will come on around 12:30 or so during the day on Mondays just to talk about men's issues, how I'm thinking, how we may want to reassess some things to help our brothers out. So that those replays are there. And then inspirational talks, things that I do, when we're speaking. We've got several things coming up, guys. Stay tuned. Yeah, if you are in, this is going to be a very, very, what's up, Craig? Good to see you, brother. All the way from Philly, representing in the building. Good to see you this morning. But one of the things that we want to do, guys, is we really want to be that couple, that go-to place where if you needed empowerment, if you need to know what the actual tools are, for those of you who may not know, we've been married for almost 20 years in a row. It'll be 20 years this coming January. But we were both married before.
Mm-hmm. I was married twice before, and Glenn was married once before. And so I've pretty much been married all of my adult life. Yeah.
And so we've done the blended family thing, that kind of stuff. And the goal is for us to share what we've gone through, our wins, our losses, and why it is that I think, although we're not perfect, I think we absolutely are winning.
Right.
And our whole goal is to help people do that. So do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get tips and all those kinds of things. And please subscribe so she can stop doing that part right there. And make sure that you guys go do that. Now, Cherie, we're going to, by the way, if you want to get a t-shirt, you can go to thecrcoach.com. Marriage is hard work. I'm telling you right now. However, the ROI for those that are non-business type, return on investment is priceless. Right. The return on investment. And we often look at a marriage like a business in a lot of ways.
Our logo shirts, because we have a new logo.
We have a new logo.
So
yeah, we're going to
make sure they update these shirts with the new logo. But we also have this shirt available. We have the
DT. What's
quite a few different
up, Big Tom? Good to see you, boy. That was Thomas.
Okay.
From back in the day, I do. So appreciate you, bro. Look, listen, guys, we're going to jump into this content. So if you're ready for us to really get into some things on how to deal with people who are difficult, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat. If you're ready for us to kind of talk a little bit about how do you deal with people who are just flat out difficult. Quite frankly, they may come across as arrogant, as people who are just prideful, insensitive. They just don't budge. They won't move. How do you if you're ready to hear us drop some wisdom on how do you deal with those kinds of people, put a 1 in the chat. Good. I appreciate that, Craig. Now we can go. So Cherie, talk to me a little bit about when you hear about a difficult person in a relationship, in a couple. Set that up for me. Who are we talking about? What is this person's characteristics like?
Oftentimes when you're talking about somebody who's difficult, it's that person that's not willing to budge. It's we'll often say they're set in their ways.
Yeah.
That's just who they are.
Yeah.
But the truth is, when you come into a relationship, relationships are about compromise. It's about give and take. And if you are not willing to make some changes, if you're not willing to make some compromises, you're going to have a very difficult time in the confines of a relationship, because you're bringing two people together with two very different sets of values, two very different ideas of how things are supposed to be done. And you have to meet in the middle. Mm-hmm. And you can't meet in the middle if you're so my way, it's my way or the highway.
Right.
And I'm not willing to budge. And so often the challenge in relationships is one person is so set in their ways that they're not willing to budge. They're not willing to yield at all. And so therefore the other person is constantly coming up against this brick wall.
Right. And
when they have needs, oftentimes what happens is that other person, because, so like, I'll give you an example. So I'm a extremely organized, detailed person.
God knows that's the truth.
When we first got together, I was pretty much,
I'm the opposite.
I was OCD. I'm delivered from it now. I'm not nearly as bad as I was, but everything had to be.
God is real, guys. God is real.
Everything had to be in its place. Everything had to be perfect.
Right.
As close to perfect as it could be. And so if I was not willing to give on that, if I was not willing to have some leeway in that, we would have had some major issues, because if something is out of place, I'm going to make that into this major big deal. And it's really not a big deal.
And so one of the things I need people to understand, particularly fundamentally, when we're talking about a boundary, guys, remember, for those of you all who have been riding with us on this series, dealing with boundaries, broken fences, how to erect healthy boundaries, a boundary by definition simply is this. It's a property line. It's the demarcation of where my property ends and where yours begin. The challenge is, in relationships, those lines often are invisible. You can't see them. They are not visibly clear as to what is your part, what is your role, what is your responsibility. And many times, because they're not invisible, they are assumed.
Right.
And so people will assume that you should be responsible for this because, after all, that's what wives do, or that's what husbands do. And if you've not gotten super clear on what those boundaries are, you can mistake, listen to me very carefully, what you should own in the way of your behavior, your feelings, your emotions. Y'all get that? There are emotions that belong to me that I should own.
Right.
Cherie she's not responsible for how I feel. Does that make sense? Oftentimes I've seen, and we've coached couples where the husband comes in the house and he's bothered and he's upset. Maybe he's had a really bad day. And the wife is jumping through hoops, or the girlfriend is jumping through hoops, or the significant other, or the kids. He could be a single dad.
Right.
And the children are jumping through hoops to make dad happy.
Right. And that's not your responsibility. What you are responsible for is to respect where they are. But that doesn't mean that you have to now entertain them or become the thing that changes their mood.
Right.
And what I mean by respecting where they are, if somebody comes home and they had a bad day and they're in a funky mood, you can ask them, you ask the question, so how was your day today? And they was like, it wasn't a good day. Like, oh, okay. You give them that space.
Absolutely. You back up.
Till they get themselves together. But it's not your job now so is there anything I can do? So what can I do to make you feel better? So what do you need? You need a massage?
It's like, are you kidding me?
Responsibility.
That is not her responsibility. I am a big boy. And the truth of the matter is that as a mature man, my job is to own responsibilities, my behaviors, my emotions, because they're mine.
Right. And the other thing about respecting where that person is. So say I'm having a rough time. And, for me, and I'll use me as an example, because I struggled with depression for most of my life. So say I'm in a depressive state. I'm not doing good. I'm feeling really low. It's not his responsibility to bring me out of that. But at the same time, what he is responsible for is to not necessarily pile more on me.
Right.
While I'm going through that season. And so in his respect to me, that means he's going to back up and give me my space. But then he's not going to be like, okay, you need to get yourself together.
Come on, snap out of it. Chop, chop, let's go.
That's not...
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
That's not going to help.
Let's get it.
Right.
All that all that motivational stuff. She doesn't need the coach right now. She needs the friend.
Right.
I'm going to say that again. When a person is coming home and they're upset or they're bothered, they don't need the coach. They don't need the mom.
Right.
That's where they need the parent.
Right.
They just need the friend. They need that person to say, you know what? I just respect where you at. When you get yourself together or when you feel like you want to interact, I'll be in the living room.
Right.
Just want to let you know. When you get it together and you feel like you want to talk about it, know that I'll be out in the backyard mowing the lawn, doing whatever. Just come out, wave. I'll cut the lawnmower off and we can chop it up. The point is to give them space and respect their boundary. Because, guys, here's what I want y'all to understand. I am responsible to her, but I'm not responsible for her. Right.
And the flip side of that, even in you saying that, and women, I'm going to throw us under the bus for a minute, but we have the tendency, we will use our emotions to try to get a man to do certain things. So I'm going to walk around and pout or sulk because I want him to. what's wrong?
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with you? That's you acting like you two. That's what 2-year-olds do.
Mm.
As a grown woman, if I got an issue, if I got a problem, I need to communicate that. I don't need to walk around sulking or I'm going to come downstairs with the laundry and drop the basket down the steps and, oh my gosh, instead of me just asking, hey, can you come get the basket?
Let me tell you something, guys. I thank God that my wife has grown in this area when it comes to just telling me what she wants.
Right.
And not making me have to guess that.
Right. They are not mind readers.
They're not. And I think that unfortunately.
Men, we're not either.
No, and I was going to say that unfortunately the pendulum swings the other way.
Right.
Fellas, oftentimes we'll try to through non-communication, through I don't know if it's some kind of telepathy that you're trying to do. You're trying to send her signals, baby, I need some attention over here. Look, open your mouth, bruh.
Right.
Say what you need and ask it. And then listen, wait on them to respond. Here's the other thing. When you're dealing with people who are not responsive or people who tend to flow in almost like a narcissistic kind of a way, it's all about them. That was classic me.
Right.
In my first relationship, my first marriage, I will never forget. I was married 12 years. And if my ex-wife jumps on this call, she would tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. And that everything rose and set on my feelings and it was all about me. If I had a conversation with you and you had a problem with me, I'm going to literally, you talk to me long enough, I'm going to flip that on you and make it about me. In other words, this is what you're doing to me. And the only reason I'm doing it is because you're doing. Let me tell you something right now. When you are dealing with people who are narcissistic in nature, what you have to remember fundamentally is that these people have their own boundary issues with respecting their own selves and their own world enough to be able to own what it is that they're going through.
Right. And when you deal with a person that's non-responsive, oftentimes what's happening is, so if you have a boundary, if you're trying to communicate a boundary to them and they don't respond to that. So I tell you that I don't like when you do this, that, and the other, and you just kind of, they slough it off. They don't respond at all. They don't give you any. Sometimes what you're encountering is the fact that your boundary is coinciding with a boundary that they have. So you're asking them to do something that they feel that they're not responsible for.
Ooh.
And so the issue, if you don't communicate
that's
with
good.
One another.
Say that again, babe.
Oftentimes what happens is that your boundary is coinciding with the boundary that they have.
Okay.
And so if I have a boundary, I'm telling you that I don't want you to do this.
Right.
Or I want you to do, I think you need to do this for me.
But what you're saying is if I fundamentally think that crosses my lines, I'm not going to give you that.
Right. But what happens typically in relationships, instead of him telling me that, is he just will ignore it and just will blow past.
Yep.
If I've said, I think I'd like it for me, I need you to do this, 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 and this. And he's like, that ain't my responsibility. I'm not doing that. But he doesn't say that.
But he don't.
He just doesn't do it.
I got you.
So then I'm like, well, you just don't care about me.
Right.
Well, how can you be so insensitive?
Right.
If he would just open his mouth and communicate, I don't feel like that's my responsibility.
We have several people, guys. For those of you all who are just tuning in, I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I'm a coach. This is my wife, Sheree Brooks Jr.
Junior.
And what we do is that we help people who are growing in their marriages and in their parenting do it successfully by growing their skill sets to make that work. If you ever want more information about that and you want to learn about that, just go to thecrcoach.com where you can find out more about it. Today, we're talking about boundaries. Today, we're talking about what it looks like when you're dealing with difficult people who just will not kind of go along. They won't meet you halfway. And Sheree, I wanted to add just one thing to something that you said earlier, and that is when you talk about the guy who, if he would just respond, if he would just open his mouth, if he would just communicate, I got a problem with that. We coach people who have challenges with that. And oftentimes what we find is that there's a lot of assumption going on.
Right.
There's just a lot of assumption. And that assumption, a lot of times I heard a friend of mine who's also a coach, she said something that was pretty powerful. She said, by the time when you have an assumption and then you couple a story or you create a narrative based on that assumption, generally disaster is waiting for you.
Right.
Does that make sense? I want y'all to hear that. When you assume, and then you create a narrative or you come up with a storyline to couple with that assumption, I can promise you 9 times out of 10, disaster is waiting for you on the other side. Because now what I've done is that I've built an entire personality around an entire environment around you just should know.
Right.
You should know that ain't my responsibility. You should know that I got a problem with that. I mean, I've already told you that.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is that I obviously haven't communicated that well or effectively because clearly you didn't get it.
Right. And even just in us having this whole conversation, what I keep hearing and what I keep going back to is communication. When you're dealing with a difficult person, they're not necessarily a difficult person. You're not communicating. If you guys would sit down and have an open conversation.
And many times
what you perceive as difficult is a lack of communication.
Yeah.
Now, you may have to agree to disagree on some things, but at least it'll be clear.
Yep.
But what happens most of the times when we say that we're in a difficult relationship, it's because there are assumptions being made. There's communication that's not being made. There are misunderstandings that are happening all over the place. And so that's where the difficulty comes from, because you're misinterpreting each other. Right. Because you're not talking.
Right.
You know, people go through relationships for years and years and never really sit down and talk. And it amazes me, you know, couples that have been together 10, 15, 20 years. And there's some really basic things. Oh, we never talked about that. You know,
Karen just chimed in and she said, I remember living that when I was married. We didn't communicate anything. And guys, let me tell you something. And I don't want to generalize, and I certainly don't want to trivialize what people go through. I want y'all to hear that. Obviously, we don't know your specific situation, and every situation is a little different than the other. But here's what I'm going to promise you. In many, many, many cases, there is a clear miscommunication. There's a clear line of communication that has just not been established. And I think that what we learned, it wasn't until we got into community with other people who we trusted to be able to see into our blind spots.
Right.
And let us know, hey, there's a car coming up on the side. If you switch lanes right now, you're going to have an accident.
Right.
And the reason why that happens is because somebody who could see into your blind spot was able, listen to me carefully, to speak truth. Many times our lives are situated, or we create such barriers, I'm not even going to say boundaries, that people can't talk to you. They can't tell you the truth.
Right.
Because you don't know how to handle the truth, or you don't do truth well.
Right.
So when they see into your blind spots, here's where the problem lies. Now you're not even open to them telling you what the real is. And that's one of the things I love about MAPS, is because people in our community are in there because they know they got blind spots, because they know, listen, I need this level of accountability because I don't have anybody that either I trust or that I know well enough, and I want to develop that. So that's hugely important to getting over that.
Right. When you go through life and you have, you know, friends, people in your life, even your significant other, if they're not checking you, for lack of better terms, you know, if I say something and they don't come back to me and be like, did you just hear what you just said? Do me a favor. Listen to that. You want people that are going to challenge your perspective, to make you look at yourself. That's what we mean by blind spots, is that oftentimes we go through life and we think our way is the right way. You know, our way of thinking is the right way. If nobody challenges that, if nobody ever brings that to your attention, because none of us are perfect.
Yeah.
We all have skewed views on certain things and misconceptions on certain things. But if there's nobody in your life that can challenge that, you know, that can bring certain things to your attention and be like, you know, I'm looking out the window like, the sky is purple today. Look at that beautiful purple sky.
Yeah.
And if Glenn doesn't say,
sky's purple? Like,
really?
I don't believe that's purple.
Look,
are you sure?
Look at it out this window.
I think
there was a tent on that window.
Right.
Look out this window.
And then tell me what you see. At this particular point, now you have an objective perspective that's spoken in love. Lizanne said something I think is hugely powerful, and I want to deal with that. She said, yes, Karen, people sometimes, she's talking to Karen back and forth. I love it. Y'all keep talking to each other. I love this. But she was saying to Karen, yes, Karen, people sometimes don't say anything because they feel weak or belittled. And Lizanne, I'm going to tell you something right now. That is absolutely true. You got something you want to say to that?
that often happens because people don't create a safe environment within their relationship to be able to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And the thing that amazes me about that, when you're dating somebody and when you're getting to know each other, we all do this, even as adults. Y'all sitting up on the phone till 3 o'clock in the morning. Y'all talking on the phone, but y'all ain't talking about nothing.
Ain't talking about nothing. Grown folks talking about nothing.
Y'all not having no real deep conversations. It's all surface.
All surface. What you wearing?
Then what happened?
What color you got on? I ain't gonna say what I really want to say. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and then what happens is when you get married, that surface transfers over because y'all never had those deep conversations.
Come on, baby. Come on.
And so now you're married and everything is surface. All the little cutesy stuff, y'all could talk about that, but y'all ain't had no deep conversations.
Guys, listen.
Y'all ain't talk about the stuff that really matter, real life. So what are your political views? What are your religious views?
Yeah.
What do you think about parenting? What do you think? You don't have those
Absolutely.
conversations.
Absolutely.
And then when the ish hit the fan.
Come on now.
When y'all got 3 kids, y'all sitting there looking.
It get real stinky.
Right.
It get real sticky.
Nobody had a
and it get real stinky because ain't nobody had the conversation. Craig said something I think is hugely important as well. He said, just because you've always done something a certain way doesn't mean it's the right way or the only way to do it. Craig, that is powerful.
That is so true.
And oftentimes without community, listen, guys, listen to me. Family and community are 2 completely different things.
Right.
Friends and community are 2 different things. Generally speaking, family is something you're born into.
You ain't got no choice.
You ain't got no choice. That's just my mother. That's my brother. That's my cousin, right? We went to school since 5th grade. We've known each other all of our lives. You really didn't have much choice in meeting that person. You just did. And because you've been knowing each other for so long, but community is something you choose.
Right.
A tribe is something you build.
Right.
Accountability is something you seek.
Yes.
And so what I want you guys to understand is that when that happens, generally what that does is it opens the floodgates of opportunity to you. So now what Craig said is powerful in that you can now see that your way was never the right way.
Right. Or it may have been the right way in that season of your life.
Ooh, that's good.
Me doing it that way when I was single or a single parent.
Oh, that's good, Sheree.
But now I'm married.
And so now you got to think of a different way to do it. Absolutely. No, I love it. Guys, listen to me. We're not going to be here all morning. We got a dog to take care of. We got grandkids to go get. It's our weekend. We're going to have a good time anyway. But I want y'all to understand, listen to me. You don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to go through what you're going through by yourself, trying to figure this thing out. And quite frankly, Sheree, losing.
Right.
We lost for many years prior to winning.
Right.
Because we tried to do everything on our own. And so if you want to be a part of our community, come on and be a part of it. thecrcoach.com. Let's get it. Let's just get in community. Let's figure it out. Good to see you, Tiana. Glad to see that you guys are in the room. Do me a favor, guys, if you can.
Share this out.
Share this out. Catch all of the replays, not only of this, but we're starting to load up all of our stuff onto the YouTube channel, all the things that I'm my public.
Like
what are you doing, you little minion? Stop doing that already. I'm going to take this down.
I'm going to have to give me a little sign.
She's going to have to get her a little sign because that is annoying as crap. Right? So no, but the truth is, guys, we want you guys to understand that you don't have to struggle by yourself.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, we really, really, really encourage you that you can't get to where you want to be, not any places of significance. And I'd like to think that relationships are significant enough for you to invest in you, not only time, money, resources, but your energy and be there. Tiana said, I'm tired of losing. No, I get it, Tiana. And I think, and she said, and I'm happy that we are in a community. Shout out to MAPS. Awesome. She's in our MAPS community. And absolutely. No, I got so sick and tired of losing. Mm-hmm. People ask me all the time, what was the difference between 12 years that went wrong and ended in divorce and now 19 years in a row and you're winning? What happened in the middle? And the answer is 2 things. One, I got tired. Mm-hmm. And so I decided I'd do something different. And that difference was that I accepted the notion that I couldn't do this by myself, and I joined a community.
Right.
I decided to get involved with people who wanted to help point out some things in my blind spots, and today I'm winning.
And I think that's key. If what you've been doing, I won't necessarily say it isn't working, but if you see that there are some holes there, Try something different.
Try something. Why not?
Try something different. See if it helps.
See if it helps.
What's the worst that can happen?
If it don't, the worst that can happen is you can get what you already got.
Right.
Right?
So
I mean, that's the worst.
Different.
Try something different, guys. At the end of the day, Lizanne, I'm trying to get off the line. Y'all won't let me. Lizanne said, I need to join this community.
Go to
absolutely. Can already beat you to the punch. The crcoach.com. We would love to have you there. I promise you guys, at the end of the day, we believe it. Hashtag, we all need some help. So we'll see y'all next week.
Bye, guys.
We got a dog to take care of. Help me, Jesus. Help me, Jesus.
Have a great weekend.
Y'all have a good one.